There is nobody that understands the fight business. I get that. And there's nowhere that you can go. There's nowhere you can go. You could get somebody with some money to believe in you, and that's risky. And you're going to have private money. No bank is getting behind. Like, I don't blame you for not knowing the fight business. There's no library. You can check out a book. There's no school. You can take a course. I don't blame you. But I must tell you, there's times where it's hard for us to have a conversation. And I've tried to lead you. I've tried to take you right up to it. I can't expose the business. I can't do it. One of the reasons that so few people know it is because few people know it and they close their mouth. And generally, the only person they will tell is their son. That's a historical truth. But boy, I've walked you right up to it. I told you before. Ask yourself and get to the bottom of why was there an insistence upon commissions? That is a fascinating one. That just went right under the radar. It's a fascinating reason, and you should look into it. Why was the BMF belt never defended by George Masvidal? That would teach you so much about the industry. Why is there a ceremonial weigh-in? I mean, just by example. But as I look at this year, I get asked a question. You want to know where this is all coming from? I got asked a question, will Conor McGregor fight 2025? Now, there is talks of exclusivity within contracts, of which there is none. And while I tell you there's none, and you tell me you know there is, and you've heard from lawyers, I calmly stand back and let you know that no lawyer gets to figure out the law any more than you do. Only a judge can do that. And you have no example in human history where somebody claimed exclusive rights and prevented somebody from going out and doing their craft. Now, this is a big part. This is a big part about the business that I'm disclosing for you right now. I never do this, but I'm going to do it now. Because what I just said is very debated. You would have to get before a judge. To get before the judge, the fight is going to be long gone. What do you think? You're going to get a TRO to stop a fight, particularly in a different industry that's perhaps even in a different country? Do you understand how insane that is? That is not going to happen. And therefore, the fight can go on. Now, no promoter will go against another promoter that claims to have a contract. Even though they know they don't have a legal right, they're not bound to it. They won't do it because they know there's no legal right and they're not bound to it. So we all need to play along on this one thing together and say that it is our understanding. We must do that. The only thing that gives power to the idea of an exclusive contract is that you get everybody else that would offer a contract to act as though they all have the same understanding. Now, if you had a promoter that had Conor McGregor, who supposedly is sought by other places, and you thought that promoter should say, I'm not going to book him. Guy just left a courtroom on a civil case. It had some pretty nasty language there, just for example. If you are the promoter, one thing that will void out your agreement with Conor McGregor is if you come out and tell the public, I'm not going to book Conor McGregor. Just so you understand, I'm spelling this out as best I can. If a promoter comes out and publicly states, right, if they do it privately, they got problems. But if they do it publicly, so there's no debate that it was said, having an exclusive contract with somebody doesn't mean that you own that person like a slave. It means that you have some very exclusive obligations to that person as well. So if you were to come out publicly and say you're not going to use them, you no longer have a contract. Not to mention, that contract would never hold up anyway, but just, you play along in an industry, right? No industry is different. The car industry, every industry, they've got these. What do you want to call it? What do you want to call it? There is no promoter that believes they have an exclusive contract with anybody. They know that they have a clause, and they know that no manager, no lawyer, no fighter, and no other promoter in the history of time has ever actually challenged it. But one thing that will void it out is if you state publicly, right? If you state it at all, you've torn the contract up. The reason I keep saying publicly is so that you could prove that at another date. You could prove that in front of a disinterested third party known as a judge. You openly are stating your intent to violate the contract, which breaks the contract. However, the contract that you do not intend to honor, but you intend to keep intact, stays intact if you kick the can. If you put it on them, they fight whenever they want to fight. Whenever they want. And then you go to the athlete, and the athlete himself is saying, man, I want to fight here. I don't want to fight here. I tried to fight here. I tried to fight here, and I want to fight here. I'm just trying to get you to understand why certain things happen. And the media doesn't know these things either. The media has no idea why you run towards the commission. I know I'm going back a long time. They have no idea why you would do that. Just try to build a brand. No, they have no idea. They have no idea why George Masvidal didn't defend the title. They have no idea why there's a ceremonial weigh-in. They have no idea that exclusivity contract with an athlete is amongst the biggest pieces of silliness in all of sport. And by the way, no one thinks differently. They just band together and act like they think there's an exclusivity contract. And as long as they all stick to it, they got it. The reason I bring that up, you got some guy in India that's offering to put up money. He's not only going to take one of them guys, he'll take two guys under the same roof because there's no such thing as an exclusivity contract. It's not real. And those guys, for the right amount of money, will come back and deal with the legal repercussions that are going to come 3 and 4 and 5 years down the road. After they were paid, interest was collected, investments were made, retirement was had, jail time could possibly be served on unrelated issues. There is no international court that is going to step in with a temporary restraining order. If you had two boxers, just for example, just to really prove my point that some of you are going, I don't know about that, Chael. Well, I do. I do know about it. But just so you understand, you got two guys that are going to box, and you have somebody that claims, I have them under contract, and that prevents them from going over to you and boxing. If they're going to make that claim, they would need an international court to step in with a TRO. Now, the problem with that is no part of the debate is about can you plan to have these guys fill in the blank. No part of the debate is about can you sell tickets, can you advertise, can you market, can you feint. It's only about can you do, which is why you can't put a TRO on it. Even the suggestion of an impropriety is not even suggested until after the fact. You could very easily say, we're planning to do a square dance. Just so you understand. There is no such thing. There's no such thing as exclusivity. Anybody can fight anywhere they want. And that has never not been 100% true.